Have you ever noticed how the final weeks of a sales quarter feel less like a strategic, well-oiled machine
Yeah.
and more like a chaotic fire drill?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just everyone scrambling to hit target.
Right. You have this sudden urgency placed on deals that have been dead for months, the
Mm.
visible spike in collective blood pressure on the floor.
Yeah, you see people just making, 100 desperate dials a day, just wild activity.
Exactly. So if you are a sales leader, a hiring manager, or an executive listening to us right now, our mission for today's deep dive is to serve as your essential briefing. We want to break that cycle of panic.
Right, because we are looking at what it actually takes to drive consistent, repeatable sales success. How your team operates in those final critical weeks dictates not just your quarterly revenue, but, well, the retention of your top talent, too.
Yeah, nobody wants to work in a constant state of panic. And we have some incredible source material today to help us dissect this. It's an insightful article by Nathan Davis from the Sales Experts.
Yeah, and it's titled Six Ways Sales Managers Can Help Their Teams Finish Strong. It is a really practical guide.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core theme that immediately jumps out to me is that the teams driving real sales success, they aren't the loudest ones. They aren't the most frantic.
Right. They are the most structured.
Exactly. But, to understand the cure, we first have to examine the disease. Like, why do teams abandon their strategies in the final hour?
Well, according to the text, it really comes down to two major failure points. The first is a complete loss of focus, and the second is the rapid cascade of highly volatile leadership energy.
Oh, the energy piece is huge. But let's start with focus.
Yeah, so late in the quarter, there is this psychological illusion that doing everything equates to doing something productive. So the first major mistake the author points out is treating every single lead as urgent.
Right, because salespeople just start jumping frantically between accounts without any strategy, just grasping at straws.
Exactly. And the fix the author provides is that good managers have to step in and aggressively simplify the picture. You have to focus on the opportunities most likely to close.
Like the existing pipeline that actually has momentum,
Hmm.
or accounts where relationships are already established.
Yeah, it is an exercise in subtraction.
Okay, I hear that. But let me play devil's advocate here, because I can hear the pushback from executives listening right now.
Sure. What's the pushback?
Well, when that target is looming and revenue is tight, isn't every lead urgent? I mean, you need every dollar. How is subtraction not just, leaving money on the table?
Right. It feels that way emotionally, but practically, it's a trap of resource dilution. I mean, attention is a finite resource.
That makes sense. It reminds me of a triage nurse in an emergency room.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like imagine a massive pileup on the highway and patients are flooding the lobby. If that triage nurse suddenly decides to sprint around putting Band-Aids on every single scraped knee
Yeah.
just because they feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of people,
Right. They are actively ignoring the critical patients who actually need immediate life-saving surgery.
exactly. And that feeling of being overwhelmed translates directly to the sales floor. If you treat a cold lead with the same urgency as a warm deal, you pull time and strategic thinking away from the deal that actually mattered.
You don't double your chances. You half your execution quality. And what's fascinating here is how the text connects this to leadership energy.
Right. The second failure point.
Yeah, because sales teams absorb leadership energy rapidly. If a manager gets stressed or fixated on the pressure of the target, that panic it cascades down the org chart.
So if the manager's freaking out, the rep starts chasing those scraped knees.
Exactly. Predictable performance rarely comes from emotion. The text emphasizes that maintaining stable energy and providing clarity improves team performance way more than people realize.
Okay, so a manager stabilizes their energy. They narrow the team's focus.
Mhm.
But then you hit the next wall. The pipeline is just completely stalled.
Yeah, that's the scary part of the quarter.
Right, so how do you shift a team from a state of total paralysis into active progression?
Well, this brings us to the mechanics of momentum. When large deals stall, confidence plummets. I mean, the gap between current numbers and the target suddenly feels totally insurmountable.
So what do you do?
You have to manufacture momentum. You do that through smaller, highly achievable wins.
Wait, really, just small wins. Does that actually move the needle on a huge quota?
Financially, maybe not right away, but psychologically, yes. Momentum actively changes behavior.
Okay, so what does manufacturing that win look like in reality?
It could be re-engaging a warm prospect who went quiet, or just securing a follow-up meeting for next week, Or, even simply moving an existing opportunity to the next stage in your CRM.
Oh, wow. So just getting any forward motion.
Exactly. Because it creates a neurochemical shift, a microspike in dopamine. It restores the salesperson's belief that they have control.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. Under pressure, when reps are trying to find those wins, they are incredibly tempted to abandon the fundamentals.
Oh, yeah, they stop doing the very things that brought them success in the first place.
Right. They stop playing the sheet music, and they just start improvising wildly.
And improvising under pressure creates wild inconsistency. This is why top managers combat that panic by relentlessly reinforcing process discipline.
Right.
The text actually details this using the Sales Experts proprietary framework. It's called the 5-stage sales team scaling system.
The 5-stage sales team scaling system. Okay, let's
Cool.
look under the hood of that, because it relies entirely on repeatable behaviors and structured execution.
Yes, the strongest managers doubled down on these fundamentals. They enforce strict pipeline discipline and clear qualification standards so reps aren't burning hours on bad fits.
Inconsistent follow-up activity.
Exactly. And crucially, they demand absolute CRM accuracy.
Oh man, the CRM accuracy piece. That is such a pain point. I mean, salespeople notoriously hate updating the CRM at the end of the quarter.
They really do. It feels like backwards-looking administrative work.
Right, they feel like they should be selling, not filling out forms.
But to the manager, it is the only viable navigation system. If you don't know exactly what is in the pipeline, you can't make strategic decisions.
It's like a captain trying to navigate a ship through a narrow channel using a map from 3 weeks ago. You were just guessing where the rocks are.
Which is a guaranteed way to sink the ship. Process discipline maintains reliable data when visibility drops to zero.
Okay, so we've set the foundation. We have stable energy, we are manufacturing momentum, and we are enforcing strict process discipline. But what happens when the rep actually gets the prospect on the line?
Ah, right, the actual conversation.
Yeah, because all the process in the world falls apart if the conversation falls flat. Here is where managers must pivot from being accountants to being true behavioral coaches.
This is such a critical distinction in the text. End-of-quarter reviews traditionally obsess purely over the numbers.
Yeah. Pipeline value, forecast accuracy, conversion percentages.
Exactly. Managers just sit there interrogating a spreadsheet.
So what does this all mean? It's like, okay, think of a sports coach. It's like a coach standing on the sidelines, just screaming at the scoreboard to change, instead of actually telling the players how to adjust their swing.
That is exactly it. Yelling at the score does nothing to change the game on the field. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the numbers are just outcomes.
Right. The real opportunity sits inside the conversations themselves.
Yes. Strong managers need to listen to calls and actively coach the reps. The author points out specific areas like discovery questions and objection handling.
And commercial positioning, which is so important late in the quarter.
Oh, absolutely. Because reps tend to rush and revert to just feature dumping. A manager has to coach them to prove the financial return on investment instead.
And that ties directly into pricing confidence, too.
Yeah.
So many deals die, right? The buyer knows the rep is desperate to close.
Yeah, the cortisol is high. The rep just wants the signature. So when they state the price and the buyer goes silent, the rep panics.
They fill the awkward silence with a massive discount. They just negotiate against themselves.
Happens all the time. This is why coaching the how is so vital. Role-playing that pricing conversation so the rep's voice doesn't shake. The text notes that a tiny improvement in conversation quality creates a much bigger revenue impact than simply telling reps to make more calls.
Quality over panicked quantity. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such an incredibly clarifying deep dive. Let's summarize 3 core actionable takeaways for immediate sales success that our listeners can implement right now.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Number 1, stop treating every lead as an emergency. Simplify the picture by focusing on existing momentum and established relationships.
Right. Number 2, coach the actual conversations, not just the forecast numbers. Focus on things like pricing confidence and objection handling. Pivot from being an accountant to a behavioral coach.
Exactly. And number 3, maintain stable energy and strict process discipline. Lean on tools like accurate CRMs and clear qualification standards instead of improvising.
Yeah, be the anchor in the storm for your team.
So if you are an executive or a hiring manager looking to drive real results, you need to take action on these insights to secure the top 1% of sales talent and build a rock-solid hiring strategy.
Really?
And to dive deeper into how to do that, you should definitely visit thesalesexperts.com. It is a vital resource for anyone serious about revenue growth and leadership.
It really is.
All right, as we wrap up, what is a final provocative thought you want to leave the listener with today? Something for them to just, mull over.
Well, think about this. The best sales managers do not create pressure. They create direction. So look at your own sales floor this week. Are you managing the stress of the target, or are you managing the controllable behaviors that actually achieve the target?
Wow, that is a massive paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Managing behaviors, not stress.
Yeah, it changes everything.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these strategies, apply them to your teams, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. Keep focused out there.